Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to another lockdown special with Motorsport New Zealand and the Esport racing world. It's something kind of technical, something kind of daring, a challenge, if you will, for a Sunday evening. 60, I think, is the official cutoff for the amount of competitors that have decided to join in for tonight's special session. And it's going to be held at none other than Mount Panorama, Bathurst. We're going to Australia, mate. We're going to throw a few shrimp on the barbie. We're going to pack our chilies, and we're going to sit on the embankment and watch the chaos unfold. Or could it be we'll be watching some brilliance? You see, we are going to have a 30-minute open practice session, which is now done. We're about to start a 2-lap of solo qualifying before 5 heat races, 1 single consolation race, and 15-lap feature. Now, the way it works is the top 5 from each of these 5-lap heat races will go straight through to the 15-lap feature final. Everybody else then goes into the consolation race, the B main. The secondary chance for a 7-lap dash to find the top 12 who will join those first 20 to give us 32 drivers around Mount Panorama circuit. Tonight, we are going to be racing in the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. It's something kind of different. It's unusual because it's kind of a GT3 that isn't a GT3. It's a kind of a hybrid car, but it's still cool, okay? Now, this Porsche is unique, as all Porsches are. This Porsche requires a little bit of finesse because all the weight's in the rear end. We all know what Porsches are like. A special breed races Porsches. I'm going to be joined tonight by someone who knows the track reasonably well. Had a bash out there. Andrew Anderson, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Craig. Thanks for having us come along and join you here for this. I don't know whether it's a common theme, but every track we seem to go to, I should actually be there in real life. We should actually have been there in a few weeks' time, but I won't dwell on that. I'll have to make do with the sim world, and certainly tonight's action with the newly released 911, the 992. It's certainly going to be some action racing, and if anything to go by the practice, that is, if that's anything to go by, we're in for some pretty competitive races tonight.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how quickly people have adapted to this new car. They're punching out in practice, remember. We'll find out how well they go in qualifying, and then, as always, we expect the race pace to be slightly higher. But like 3 of the competitors, Callum Hedge, Nathan Anderson, and Ben Stewart, have all punched out the 204s, which completely blew me away that was possible. There's a big bunch of competitors in the 205s, and then more in those 6s and 7s, etc., etc. Personally, I've had a little play, Andrew. I had a go earlier in the week.
We did see you sneak in, yeah,
just to get a feel for it.
A 3-minute what?
No, I did. I got very, very excited when I punched out a 211.
Wow!
And then I looked at these real drivers' times, and yeah, this is why they do what they do, and exactly. I do what I do.
And someone close to me said that I've joined a different age bracket, so hence I'm behind the microphone and not on a sim, because I tell you what, the reaction times in real life is hard enough. On the sims here, it just seems to be a different level.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we're into qualifying now. The way this is going to work is it's lone qualifying. So we'll end up randomly finding a few drivers out there. They'll get 1 warm-up lap and then 2 hot laps if they successfully get around in time. That's only a 10-minute session, so with a theoretical 2:05 to 2:10, there's already 4 and a bit minutes of 10 minutes chewed up. This warm-up lap will take around about 2.5 minutes on average. So, unless they smack into the wall, we should see some good racing. But I do predict around the 2:05s and 6s and 7s. The 4s and 5s will happen in qual. I'll be shocked if I see some in racing. But then again, Andrew, this is a 5-lap sprint. So do you go for safety, or do you say, bugger it, I'm going to do 5 qualifying laps.
Well, I think you'll get a mixture in the field. There's certainly the ones at the top are showing that they're just going to put it all out there. They're going to go brush the wall somewhere, although in qualifying, if you do that, you will get your lap time voided. One of the things with iRacing, if you do get off track limits and touch the wall, you'll get that lap time invalidated. But look, I think Suri, for those 5-lap sprint races, it will be out and out sprinting, because there's not much time to make up some passing maneuvers through here. So if you're not starting at the front, you can't afford to wait for the race to come to you. You're going to have to make a move, and yeah, geez, it's just going to be action-packed. I hope there isn't some big dust-ups, because I've turned race control off. I don't want to hear all the explosions on radio. But yeah, look, here we go. We're getting underway. Zane Hills, he's completed a warm-up, so we'll bring them to you as they start posting times. But most of them would have just casually got out there, got the tyres nice and warm. They wouldn't want to risk damaging the Porsche, because damage is well and truly turned on tonight. So yeah, they don't want to inflict any damage to the car until they get to that green light. So we'll see what Zane can post as one of the first cars here on track that we're following, posting an official lap time.
Well, his qualifying was not bad at all, and let's see if he can match that with a qualifying session up to his practice, So he's now going up through the cutting, and this is a very, very tricky point. It's second gear. There's the bump in the middle. If you put your foot down too early, you're going to spin this car out, and you will be sideways around that blind turn. It's a turn that freaks you out, doesn't it, Andrew?
Which one? They all do, mate. Up over the top of the hill, they freak you out. I think the first year I actually raced here in a real-life car, 2009, in Greg Murphy's DVS car, Super 2, back then, I don't think I breathed for the whole 40 minutes. That's how intense it was.
Well, now he's going to go through the dippers, through the S's and the dipper, heading towards Forests. There's going to be some interesting decisions made there.
He's had a lock up there. I was just going
to say, who is going to go hot through there and who's going to take it easy? Well, they're already locked up in there, coming out of Forest and down the Conrod straight. So he'll head to the chase and get that first. I suppose you've had your warm-up, but this one's the breather. This one just starts to sight yourself in, and then you go for gold in that second one, don't you?
Yeah, you want to get a banker in, so just get one in reasonably competitively. So sort of about 90-95% if you're brave enough. Get this one under your belt, and then the next one, it's just out and out. Give it everything. Tyres will be up to temperature. You've got your eyes in. They've come out of practice, so they should well and truly be sorted all right. And no traffic, because as we heard at the top of the show, this is a lone qualifying. So there's a bit of foxing going on, because some people were getting a draft and a tow up and down the hill. And it is quite significant here at Bathurst, some long straights. So they're out there doing sole qualifying. So at the moment, we've seen some laps come up, and boy, that's a familiar name at the top there. Might have spelt that one once or twice.
Oh,
dear. A young fella's taken over the sim room. I've actually been relegated to the back office. And we're running with extension leads and all sorts just to try and bring you the commentary tonight. But I'd expect... Oh, there we go. We're into the fours already, Dance. 104.9. Hedge,
right.
He's a little bit off. I thought Hedgie, he's been in the low fours. So we'll go and see if he can improve that later on. So, Suri, there you go, your predictions. The 204s.
So Cameron Dance has punched out a 204.9. Callum Hedge is on a 205.2, joined with Nathan Anderson, also a 205.2. Brock Gilchrist, 205.45. McCutcheon, 05.78. And then everyone else is 6 and above. A few of those will drop down on that hot lap. And it is a good point that Andrew has made, that you do your warm-up, you do a 90%er, just to make sure that you don't touch your wall, you don't go off track and get it voided. Then you send it and you just say, right, let's risk everything and try and get that front area. The way it works for the heats is the winner of qualifying will be on pole for heat 1. Second in qualifying, pole on heat 2. Third in qualifying, pole on heat 3, and then et cetera, et cetera. You can work it out yourself. That pattern emerges of how the heat races are sorted. So it's very important to be in that top 5, not necessarily having to be number 1, but being in the top 5 is very important for the way the heat is structured. Cameron Dance, Callum Hedge, Nathan Anderson, Brock Gilchrist, Matt McCutcheon at this stage are the gentlemen who will be on pole for each of the heat races down the front straight, the main, past the pit area.
We're just seeing Callum Pratt there pull over and exit to the pits. So that lap time there, the car number 43 was in 12th. He's just dropped to 15th, and he's in risk of sliding further down. And our initial fast man, Anderson, is now in 4th. So Dance, Hedge, Gilchrist, McCutcheons is pretty close. So we're on board with him at the moment as he's heading up Mountain Straight. So Callum Hedge, well, he's bailed. So he's had a mistake there, trying to complete his second lap. So he's going to go no faster. So at the moment, who can take it to Dance? So here he is starting his second lap, or has he just completed his second lap? I think that's the end of his second lap. We'll see him slow down probably and exit to the pits. On board here, he's slowing down. He's trying to go in the back entrance and they've put a concrete wall there for some.
No one's told him the barriers are up. We are now on board with Liam Skeets, number 28. And gets a little loose. Track. That's probably an off track, so that lap will be void. And now probably doesn't care. Just use it as a practice session.
Yeah, so
let's look, that's the risk, isn't it? Let's take another look at it, shall we? Goes wide over the top.
Oh, full send.
McPhillamy and Skyline, and it's a dangerous place to do that. I mean, lucky you didn't hit the sand.
Yeah, look, 1987, I think Moffat, Alan Moffat Senior, he did that in Brock's Commodore and speared off to the wall on the left-hand side, so it can flick you and it can bite. But at the moment, the one who's mastered it so far is Dance, and we're here with Liam Skeets.
Well, currently Skeets is 10th, which means that he will be in heat number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Heat, the last heat on the front row. Look, we'll go through the grids as they come up. I think you understand the pattern, though. Currently, the top 5 are Cameron Dance, Callum Hedge, Brock Gilchrist, Nathan Anderson, and now Ben Stewart has punched down and pushed out Matt McCutcheon. There's only 5 cars left out there doing their lone qualifying to determine who is going to do what. There's about a minute and 15 or minute and 10 seconds left in qualifying.
Yeah, Edward's going to have
on
to push
board
on
now, Andrew, with Fear going over the Skyline area.
Yeah, he's going to have to push on. He's at least got half the track in front of him. It's going to be touch and go whether he gets to the finish line in time. Although unsure whether we're running the clock to the stopwatch, or if they're on a fast lap, they'll be able to complete it. So 2 different ways of running iRacing qualifying. But he's pushing on down the hill. Looks reasonably clean so far. Oh, as he says that, big lock up into the final turn down the hill. So commentator's curse is tuned in tonight.
Yeah, he'll back out of that. There won't be any point in trying to make a fast time because that would have cost him at least 4 or 5 tenths there, and that'll be a blitzer. So Edward Fear is way down in 36th position, won't make any gain. So a lot of work to be done in the heat race that he appears in, and I'm not going to try and work out if it's heat 1, 2, 3, 4. My math isn't good enough for that. Still, though, no one has topped these 5. Dance, Hedge, Gilchrist, Anderson, and Stewart. Qualifying is done. That's it. No one gets another opportunity. It's all over. So we know those top 5 now, and I'm pretty sure that's the way it'll work. There we go. So you can see from the results there, Dance and Hedge with Gilchrist, Anderson, and Stewart. So if my information is correct, that'll put Dance on pole, Hedge on pole, Gilchrist on pole, and Anderson on pole. Was it 4 or 5 heats we're doing tonight, Andrew?
Yeah, look, it's going to be at least 4, 3 that I know of. So 3 to 4 heats. We'll see the service start sorting it out for us here. We've got Anderson on the grid, so he was in 4th. So there we go. We've got 3
So
heats.
it has dropped heats. Okay.
Yeah, we've got 3 heats.
So we've lost a couple of competitors, which is less heats, which means now my pattern math is slightly changed, which is a real shame for Nathan Anderson, because he was, as one of the top 4, he'll be going, right, I'm on a pole position for one of my heats, but now the last heat's been removed. He ends up being scattered amongst the rest as the crowd looks on at Mount Panorama on a beautiful Sunday. 6.2 kilometers of courage and mayhem as we get ourselves set for a 5-lap sprint.
So we're running a
Three
Formula
heats now.
One type start grid position. That's why Anderson is a little bit set back. He's actually number 2, but we've got a staggered grid here. We don't have them side by side as you would in the supercars. So we'll just wait for a few more to join the server. The lights are ready.
Okay, we're going to get underway for our first heat of the evening. The red lights are going. We're waiting for them to go green. They have now. The drivers are underway and everyone is off the line nicely. Nathan Anderson cuts down the inside to make sure he defends his position in number 2 of heat number 1. And they are away and everyone has gone around turn 1 clean, nice and tidy. I'm very pleased with this, Andrew. Very happy.
Yeah. Hold your breath, mate. We're getting to the exciting part, and that's the top of the mountain. So, Anderson, they're just having a little bit of a look there, but I don't think that that's going to be anything. Oh, we've got to pass on the curb.
Well, that's
no
courage.
Contact.
Heats goes up through on the inside, going into Griffin's Bend. Nicely done, and now they're going to be side by side through the cutting.
He's not quite there, so he's on the outside, and that those positions have been able to be reversed. A little bit further back again. Still very clean coming out through the cutting, which is another part where these competitors can start to bottle up. It's up over the hill. We're on board here with Elliot Osborne, and he's out towards the grate. A little bit conservative with his line. Some of the other guys there are rubbing the wings on the concrete wall already. Bit of seesawing going on.
We'll also check with race control to send
Oh,
the
we've got
first
a
off, just coming over the Brock skyline. Looks like a lone spin and no one else got caught up in it, which is very fortunate.
Absolutely.
They'll all be out of their drive line though. They'll be off their brake lines. They won't be sorted and organised like normal. And some people will lose positions.
That's Simon Evans has turned it round.
Oh really? Simon doesn't like the Porsche.
He's going to have to come through the repecharge, through the last chance qualifier constellation. But meanwhile, out front, Cameron Dart stretching his legs down Conrod.
He's already got nearly a half a second gap over Anderson. Not that it matters. These guys are just trying to get through to that main final. And what I will do is we'll get race control to tell us, they'll have to confirm as well, that now we've dropped a heat, will we end up with 6, the top 6 going through out of this heat, or even the top 7? So, look, we won't worry about that too much, viewers. We'll get to that when the final happens and we'll be able to tell you who actually goes through. So I don't know the cutoff, whether it's 5, 6 or 7. So the important thing to do is get in the top 4 and then you know you're safe. Cameron Dance, Nathan Anderson, Ayrton Williams, Liam Skeets, and good old Graham Smythe is there in 5th position. Graham Smythe, for those of you who don't recognise the name too much, he's one of those New Zealand drivers out there in the real world that you put him in any car and he's at the pointy end of the field. He's one of those people. It doesn't matter if it's a drift car, a kart, a shifter. He jumped in a Ferrari and did the Bathurst 12 hour and was one of the fastest drivers up against professional race car drivers. So he is just one of those sort of chaps. He jumps on a racing simulator and there he is in 5th position. He's doing 209s, albeit 6 seconds off Cameron Dance with a 206.85. So Dance still leads. Nathan Anderson's just hovering around, but he's half a second off the pace. Ayrton Williams is up there. He's in the 208s. Liam Skeets is in the 8s.
We're just seeing here on board following Marco Giltrap down over Skyline, getting a little bit wide. It's great to see him online in the sim, just getting his rehabilitation back up after having that horrific real-world crash down at Taupo. Yeah. So up front here, still no change, but these guys, they don't need to race each other. They're in a comfortable transfer position at the moment. As we say that, you see Anderson getting the toe here under the boot wing of the Porsche. He's having a look down the inside, but these guys have they've already sealed a spot through to the next part of the show. But we know that they're racers and they'll want to take the glory.
and
he goes a long way down the outside.
As long as they don't take each other out, that's when things will go a little bit hairy on social media. Nathan Anderson does a simple switch on the inside. He should be in the right position here under braking to make a nice casual pass to take over the race lead. And he will do. That was pretty simple. And now he tries to break the slipstream. Don't do it too often, pal. Yeah, well, who cares, he says. I'll go left and right. I'll try and stop him from getting it back. Don't do anything silly, boys. You're in the main final. You
Yeah.
do something crazy here, and your night could turn into a disaster. There is Ayrton Williams in third position over Liam Skeets. Graham Smythe still in fifth place. So still in the position.
The top five have sort of kept the rest of the field. So my pick is that Skeets is safe in fifth, but we'll hold all calls until the race is over and we get the final judgment as to who transfers. But Skeets is close enough here. If those up front start tripping over themselves, as you say, Suri, so he's proving his worth, just very consistent, does a lot of endurance racing, so he's used to just getting into a rhythm and sticking to it.
Which would be something different going on a sprint, as you were saying. You know, this is 5 qualifying laps they're trying to punch out here, which is a different mentality, isn't it?
Well, it is a little bit, but those same skills of just trying to hit your marks and keep it off the walls will pay dividends, as we see here that Anderson now, he's got Dance right in behind him, heading down Conrad. So expect a little bit more, how do we say, creative manoeuvring to get out of the draft. Yeah, I don't know whether race control in a real world situation would like too many directional changes, but never mind.
Yeah, that's right. They've done 2.5 or 2.8 laps.
Oh, they're close.
Yeah, this is a little bit crazy, boys. You could do yourselves a whole lot of hurt here if you're not very careful up on the ripple strip. They go through the right-hander of the chase down to Murray's corner, and it'll be a dive under brakes, no doubt. Yes, it is. They're probably having a great time actually doing this.
Going the long way around the outside, nearly paid off, but it's got the exit curb there and lost a bit of drive, but Anderson's already blocking the inside, although he's gone to the racing line now. You see here this run up Mountain Straight. You know, it's really important to get the drive out of there because the uphill gradient really affects the horsepower of these cars in the sim and in the real world.
Well, look at Dance. He's sticking to the back of Nathan Anderson. He doesn't care if Nathan goes left and right. He'll quite happily sit there and behind, and Nathan does the right thing and stays on the inside as his last move. But if they stay mirror to mirror, that'll give Dance the inside. No, it doesn't. He decides, hang on. This is only a chocolate fish. This is only bragging rights on social media. There's no point in me staying on the inside hugging the wall.
But check out what's happening. They're pulling themselves back into Williams' clutches. So Williams is just, well, he won't be rubbing his hands. He'll have both hands on the steering wheel, but he'll be eager to just get a little bit closer and start to play into this. This is the penultimate lap, so we've got one more after this. So on board from the aerial shots here, you can see he's within clutching distance of just picking up the pieces. Should anything go wrong up front.
That's right. And the drivers who are in 6 and 7, Taylor Oates and Zach Blinko, both very, very established sim drivers. They'll almost be hoping that these front two come together and cause a bit of problems. But the gaps are pretty good. Nathan Anderson now has a 1.2 second. Oh, hang on. Yes, that's come right down because they are trying to make a pass on each other again, and those in behind will be loving this as they go side by side down Conrad and into the chase. Who is going to blink? They've made contact. Will they be able to stay together? Will they lose their braking positions? Nathan Anderson is off, so he's moved off there. That will allow 2 other drivers easily to get through. 3 of them get through. Luckily, there was a 6
Williams, he's
gap.
Down the inside. He's having a serious look.
Final lap. They need to stay calm here. Ayrton Williams has moved into second. He doesn't want to do anything silly. Nathan Anderson and Cameron Dance, I was saying, they're taking the big risks.
Yeah, they
so that has
were.
moved. Dance's car look all right up there? I don't think it is. I think he's damaged. Look at it like wiggling around. He's in trouble.
Yeah,
he's not going to finish this lap, Andrew.
No, there's definitely something going wrong with the rear trailing arm on that Porsche. So he's struggling. He's going to really, it's going to be a handful for him going over the mountain this time round. So he's always way wide there.
There's no way he will stay in this top 5. Surely not. And hopefully he doesn't damage the car so much by hitting walls again. Like, he nearly did there, and getting other drivers into trouble. He's got to be safe. He's got to play smart here.
So on board here with Dance, we'll check out to see where the steering's setting. It's hard to pick it here over the mountain, but he looks pretty busy. Definitely looks like it's, check it out over the bump there.
It's a lot of courage to hold here as he comes down through Skyline into the S's. What will it do?
Oh,
Is it going to lose the rear end?
Snapper. Got the big tail wag going as he's coming into the dipper there, and another one as he exits. So look at
Graham Smythe right in behind him. He knows,
Yep.
and he'll probably be a little concerned. The last thing he wants to do is get up beside him and have that number 6 Porsche come loose on him. So Smythe will be playing a very clever, smart game here, biding his time. Yeah, he's not even trying to pass.
Yeah, no, he knows he's comfortable in the transfer position, but he's trying to find a spot to get around a wayward Porsche as it's struggling to track itself in a straight line.
With a bus distance between them, and Smythe tries to stay out of the braking line just in case. Dance is doing a great job. I thought he'd drop back into 10th, the way that Porsche was handling up the hill. But he's going to come through for the checkered flag into Murray's corner. There is your race winner, Ayrton Williams, who played a calm game. Liam Skeets will come across in second, surely. Yes, he does. And look at Dance. Well, that's a heck of a drive. Nathan Anderson does survive in 5th position, but we're yet to know if 6 of Taylor Oakes and 7 of Zach Blinko automatically go through to the heats or not.
Yeah, look,
have you found anything out, Andrew?
We'll work that out in a minute for you, but boy, we talked about it during those laps, didn't we, that they didn't really need to race so hard, and in the end, they did what we kind of plotted was going to happen, and they tripped over each other. So fortunately, I suppose, for both is that they still made it through into the transfer spots, but it has affected their grid positions for the final. So we'll see whether that all washes out when the final heat races come to conclusion, and we'll bring the second one to you very, very soon. We'll let the iRacing server reset itself, but before we do that, I think, Sooty, we're just going to catch our breath and see who finished where in that first heat.
Yeah, just to confirm that, and then we'll know after these 3 heats how many are automatically going through to the final. We'll know that, and we do know that in the consolation final, the top 12 come through. So we do know that. And here is Heat 1's results officially. Ayrton Williams did get the win, as we saw. Liam Skeets, Graham Smythe from 5th to 3rd. Cameron Dance, Nathan Anderson with Dance lucky to stay in 4th. Taylor Oakes and Zach Blinko, those are the 2. We don't know yet if they're going to make it through to the straight into the A final. Hunter Robb, Mark Mallard, Neil Gardner, Marco Giltrap, Elliot Osborne, Charlie Coleman and Carl Gaines and Simon Evans. They will all be in the consolation final, the 7-lap up. But now we get ourselves into heat number 2. And Callum Hedge there, sporting the Cream Insurance livery on pole. Ben Stewart and Zane Hills with Dylan Grant. The lights are red. The nerves, they'll be gripping the wheel. The lights are out. The flag is waving. And we are underway. Dylan Grant goes down the inside to try and block anybody else, but nobody got a good start apart from those front 4. They really ripped away with it. The rest of them will be making up the numbers.
And making up the numbers
Stewart,
at the back.
Zane down the back. It's Goodnight Nurse for a handful of them. Will they continue or will they just go to the pits? Depends on the damage. But it wasn't any of the front runners. And there goes Hedge. And he is loose and wild on cold tyres. And he's got to be careful here.
He's going to be gobbled up by several. He's now gone back to 4th. Wow. So, wow, how quickly did that change? You know, one of our leading competitors has struggled there on cold tyres. And now Ben Stewart, well, boy, he's been in a lot of these Motorsport New Zealand challenges, and he's entering the real world this year in an RX-8, I believe, if I get my contacts correct. So here he is out front. Oh, and there's been contact in the fence. Just behind there, the purple Porsche. You can see the mark, and he's run wide. Hopefully he doesn't come back on and take anyone out. And that's Dylan Grant getting all sorts of upset coming over the hill.
His whole entire race line is off. He's hit 2 more walls. So
we'll put the safety car out so he can hit that too. He's nearly got everything else.
Oh dear. So Ben Stewart, Zane Hills, Callum Hedge, they're going to drag down inside. Goes Zane Hills. He'll have the inside here. Will he be able to hold it? See, now they're looking for the aero package. This is actually fun. Even though in the real world they wouldn't get away with this, I enjoy watching this dodging. Here comes Ben
back down the inside.
Yeah.
So he's on the inside for the chase.
Callum Hedge just sitting back going, okay, fellas.
Oh, he's trying to squeeze him to the side. Zane's pulled back. But look who's in third spot there. If anyone's got some racecraft to get by Callum Hedge, he's going to bring it to the table.
Well, he knows how these things work. He understands Porsches.
Yeah, look, this is going to be a great build-up for him for the feature, I'm sure. But he'll be dirty on himself making that mistake at turn 2 on cold tyres. And already now he's looking down the inside there of Hills. And is he going to get it through? He sure is, deep under brakes.
Yeah, I noticed in practice, just observing, he's got a very deep brake line. So he really knows how to keep these tyres and this car, its wiggly bottom, under control. Oh, well, there's To Have Fun. Now, which one is that? That is 41, which is Thomas Harrison, one of the many of the To Have Fun competitors. 576 is Brad Klink in behind. A whole lot of them are out.
Yeah, we saw that carnage in through turn 1, and it's sort of taken a lot of the field out, unfortunately. So those guys are regrouping. Some have gone to the pits to get some fast repairs, and they'll be back out getting some practice effectively to see what they've got for the Constellation. So here we go over the mountain one more time. Ben Stewart's got a bit of a gap there back to Hedge, but I'm picking that he's still going to be close enough to get the benefits of a tow down Conrod, and it's all going to start to heat up as they get into the chase. Zane Hills hasn't dropped off the back. He's coming along, so he's going to benefit from the tow as well as they get down through Forest Elbow one more time and down Conrod and set it up. So has Ben got something for Hedge?
Well, the interesting thing to watch is Hedge's braking line. Will he brake later? I think he's at least 5 to 10 metres deeper than anyone else on the braking, so that's going to straight away be an advantage. But how much risk is that, though, Andrew? That 5 to 10 metres, how much more risk are you taking?
Yeah, it is quite a bit of a risk factor, and already you can see that Ben was shadowing down the inside, so Hedge knew he had to go the long way, didn't want to do it that way, so he pulled back under brakes, but he's going to send it here into the final turn. But again, he's on the unfavoured outside line. He's trying to get the switch back, and has he got the drive? No, just got a bit of wheel spin there. Right at the critical point in the mid-corner, wasn't able to get the drive, so Ben's able to stay on the racing line. Now getting that all-important run through turn 1. I still like the fact that Hills here is tucked in. It's a three-way battle for the win.
Yeah, and what they're also doing here is fighting for grid position in the main final. We're just seeing Louis Sharp come around, a few of the other trailing competitors as well. And again, we don't know. We haven't had the numbers confirmed. I would say a minimum of 6 should go through the heats, but it could possibly end up 7. Now, on the cusp of that is Brad Klink in 6th, Thomas Harrison in 7. Michael Forrest is down in 8, but he's 5.8 seconds off the pace. So he's going to rely on someone making a mistake up front. Now, these 3 who are going toe-to-toe at it as they come through Silman McPhillamy Park, they'll head into Skyline. And when you're going toe-to-toe like this, the aero wash is a little different over the hill. You can't quite see your race line properly. You're relying on the driver in front of you to do the very accurate braking and be consistent. And here comes Callum Hedge. See, Hedge will be sizing him up, won't he?
He will be, but I was just going to say, speaking of being consistent and accurate, you know, Ben initially pulled out on the run over Skyline and down into the dipper, but now Hedge has been able to close that gap, and I got a suspicion there the Hedge may have just tagged the wall at Forest Elbow, so he'll get away with it a few times, but he won't want to repeat that too much as we head down. We're on lap number 3, so
he's not really close enough here to do anything, and Ben Stewart is really closing the door on the inside run, and it's going to cost Callum Hill. Yeah, there we go. He's lost a car length straight away, and that's brought Zane Hills into the mix.
Yeah, so
again,
now,
while there's a fight here for the heat win, which is a nice bit of pride, more importantly, it's your grid positions in the main final.
Oh, it sure is. There's certainly something to play for here, so there's every reason to want to try and get up a grid spot or 2. But there's a lot to be lost if you get it wrong, and now they're too wide. So Ben Stewart's run wide. He's lost a little bit of drive that's allowed Hedge to get up the inside. iRacing is saying it's neck and neck. Look at Hills. Who's he going to back? Who's he going to follow through turn 2?
He'll follow Hedge through, I think. Hedge will brake later. and he'll get a good run through. There we go. Quite happy to stay out wide in the marbles. He'll go over the curb. Couldn't get the drive down. Yeah, couldn't get the power to push himself up the hill. And there is Zane Hills going, I had you, didn't I? I had you.
Oh, Ben, don't.
Oh, no. Oh, Ben Stewart into the wall. From first to third, just like that. See how much damage he's got. It looks okay. But it doesn't take much for the rear end of these things to get a smack and all the steering to go out.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
The gap is important, Andrew. The gap. We've got 3.9 seconds back to fourth, 9 seconds back to Louis Sharp, which will drop dramatically as Dylan Grant and Louis Sharp start catching.
Yeah, well, Sharp there, he's sporting a bit of damage on the right rear and the left front, so he's got a few wounds that he's got to try and carry through to the final of this race.
With 2 laps to go.
Yeah, look, it's going to be touch and go. There may be a few changes at the back end of the top 5, but I think if they can just consolidate, they'll get through and make the finish. A bit of a lock up there from Louis into Forest Elbow.
So Callum Hedge leads the way down through the chase. Here we go now. He'll be nice and casual. He'll just go through the numbers now. He'll be on a routine drive into the chase. Steady as. He'll let Zane Hills do all the dramatic stuff in behind in the 97 Red Bull tribute car. I wonder who he's giving a shout out to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to come back to you and do a Google search on that one.
Yeah, we'll Google that to see who he's trying to wave. And so, 4 down, 1 to go. White flag is waving, and Ben Stewart looks okay. Ben Stewart in the red. The Porsche seems okay. He might not try and make any passing, but at least he's got a decent gap from him back to Dylan Grant in 4th, and Louis Sharp's not even the picture. 4-5, Brad Klink and Thomas Harrison are 6 and 7. He just dropped in a 2:05. Was his best lap. Last lap, though, the front 2 were doing 2:07s, and Ben Stewart with his touch dropped down to basically a 2:09. But look, he's right there, and he'll hold 3rd. So if all he's got to do is just stay there now, and he'll be good.
Yeah, but he's going to get through to the feature, so he's going to be part of the big show. He might be a few good spots. Oh, jeepers, that was pretty close to the wall for our race leader.
He needs to look at his relative board, doesn't he? Just say, okay, there's a gap here of 7 seconds. I can back it off a little bit.
Yeah, so now just finishing off there on Ben Stewart. He'll be a little bit dirty from himself, throwing away a potential heat victory here. But the important thing is he does get through to the main show, and looks like he's got good pace. So if he can carry on with a bent car, he'll look pretty good with a clean, fresh one, which everybody will be able to reset to get the pit crews busy and start the final race feature with a new Porsche under their foot.
Yeah, so Dylan Grant in the purple machine. This is Louis Sharp. Following him behind is Brad Klink. So there goes Louis.
These guys are fighting up for what is a little bit unclear at the moment. We think the top 5 is through for sure, and from there back a little bit of a question mark as to whether for a few non-entries tonight the transfer spot may have been dropped back. But Suri, here we go, heat number 2.
Yeah, checkered flag for Callum Hedge. He'll come through the final turn, Murray's corner onto the main straight, past the pits, past the checkered flag. He will grab a race win. That'll be good for cementing his grid position in the main final. So there we go. A good little, yes, and a bit of, hey, you want to come to the barbecue later? There goes the purple of Dylan Grant. Purple race cars are the best race cars. And Louis Sharp with Brad Klink in behind. Now, even if the heats only allows 5 through, that'll be 15, which means that the consolation final theoretically then won't just be the top 12. It could be the top 14 or 16 go through. Actually, maybe 17.
There's going to be a lot to play for in that feature. In that consolation semi-main. So, yeah, very much a case of if you can get to there, you've got a good chance to get through because there's going to be a lot of transfer spots, I think.
Yep, that's exactly right. So we'll just wait for the official results to come through as we look at the wonderful time. What's your scariest part of the track, Andrew, when you've driven it? What really gets you? I know every corner, but is there one in particular?
It's probably Skyline to the Dipper. That's the one that if you can get through that bit, yeah, that's pretty challenging.
Yeah, where you just come over the Brock bit, turn right under brakes.
Yeah, because you come over there with a lot of speed. You got to pull it up, get through the first little left, and then get round the right into the Dipper. And if you haven't stuffed those two back up there, you can get to the Dipper and know you're safe. So to prepare for the Dipper, you've got to get the corners 2 or 3 behind sorted out.
And we see that a lot, don't we? Drivers coming over the Brock skyline and they have to go straight on because they're just, they've braked 5-10 meters too late, carried too much speed, can't do the right-hand, left-hand flick. So they've got no choice but to go straight ahead. Yeah, that makes sense. That would be the scary spot.
Yeah, but look, it's a track just like a street circuit. You've got to give it a lot of respect, and it certainly chooses who it wants to look after. And if you don't respect her, she can well and truly bite.
Yeah, concrete hurts.
Trees do as well, I think. Just ask Dick; he knows about that.
Very true.
But, we're just waiting for the server. There's a couple of cars that went in for fast repairs and finished a little bit further down the order. So we're just waiting for them to come around, take their checkered flag, and we'll try and get you a quick summary while heat number 3 is out on track.
Okay, so they are already gridding. The red lights are on. We're immediately into it. Brock Gilchrist will lead the pack with Matt McCutcheon in second. Blake Dowdle in third. Mitchell Sparrow 4. Dylan Jordan in 5. Callum Pratt and James Watson. Hayden Baccaris. Joel Hanks. James Smith. Graham Wallace. Elliot Colhon. Paul Smith. Now, I think Paul Smith is the oldest driver in the field. He says he's 62, but I'm sure he's more like 75.
Oh, that's harsh.
Yeah. But anyway, he's down in 13th with Benjamin Adams and Edward Fear making up 14 and 15. But up front, there has already been a smack in the wall, and that'll put one competitor out of it. Who was that?
That's 38, I think, is it? No?
Blake Dowdle. 22? Is that right? There's 22.
Yeah, he's circulating still.
So someone in one of the purple cars decided to demolish themselves. Up front, Brock Gilchrist, Matt McCutcheon in behind. Mitchell Sparrow in third, Dylan Jordan and Callum Pratt. Hayden Baccaris and Joel Hanks make up your top 7. James Watson there in position 8. Yeah, looks a little sore as well. There's another spin just before the Brock dip. That little point. Oh, he's gone.
Been sent.
He's gone
he's
into the clouds. Have you ever seen the like of?
Wow, that's going to be a highlight reel for sure.
Yeah, that's going on YouTube.
Hopefully we get the blimp view on that one. He's gone to orbit.
The S's, the Dipper, Forrest's Elbow, they must have seen the footage from the news of the SpaceX landing again and decided, hang on, I want a piece of that action.
I want to be an astronaut. Look at me,
I'm
Mum.
going there. Now, the reason Matt McCutcheon should win this race is because his car is mostly purple. And purple cars on a racetrack are the fastest cars on a racetrack. Brock Gilchrist is leading the way. Matt McCutcheon in second. Mitchell Sparrow, Callum Pratt, Hayden Baccaris, your top 5. And it's a pretty big gap. And that 5, 6, 7 could be quite a battle. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And look, we've just completed one lap, and several of these cars have battle scars on them.
Yeah.
Oh, the Corvette's out the front at the moment. It all unfolded, and here we go, Sooty. We've just heard from race control. Take your popcorn, mate. Check this out.
Okay, so he's gone on the grass. He's done a nice casual spin. Just decides to park it here. Let's have a little look, shall we, at the Brock skyline. But then everything goes to custard because one of the Scoopies decides we're going to launch him. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off.
Oh, he's gone through the sign.
He's gone skis.
That's one of the best flips I've ever seen on iRacing, I can tell you that.
It's pretty good. Brock Gilchrist still leads the pack. Matt McCutcheon in second. Sparrow, Pratt and Baccaris are your top 5. The gaps, though, are pretty decent. There's basically nothing between 1 and 2, as you can tell. There's nearly 2 seconds back to Sparrow in third. Then it's a decent gap back to Pratt in fourth. But 4, 5, 6 and 7, maybe even 8, have the potential to become a hot battle in this heat. The front 3 are just sort of, they're on their own. But look at this as they start to stream down the Dipper.
Yeah, we're following Callum Pratt here down into Forest Elbow, so he's got a, well, I wouldn't say comfortable gap, but he's got a bit of a gap there to fifth position, and I think he's inside the transfer spot, so he's pretty comfortable. These guys here, they're the ones that have got to fight it out. So fifth and sixth, there's no guarantees in here, so those two, they might as well race like it's the sheep stations, because your transfer spots depend on it.
Yeah, well, if we match up, say, Heat 1 and 2, where there were incidents with a front runner in each of those heats, that's it, heavy under the brakes and launches into the back of Hayden Baccaris. Now, does Hayden, he survives, thankfully. What I was going to say is, we noticed that the gap that the front runners had pulled away in Heat 1 and 2 was a benefit for those who went into the wall, because the others couldn't catch up. This heat, however, positions 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are close enough. And look at this. There's a whole lot of to have fun. The Hammer and Spanner boys, and unless you look at the number, you don't know who is who, but you got Graham Wallace, Paul Smith, and Benjamin Adams in a queue, in a train. Paul Smith's the 79-year-old in the middle of that lot. And they're just having their race on their own amongst the race, really.
Someone's been busy on the graphics computer, I'm sure, putting that together. It's pretty classic, and it's great to see. And it's another one of the awesome things about this iRacing platform is that you can get in and look at the Corvette's car out the front. It's a familiar sponsor. We see in the real world they've been a great supporter of the 86s and the up-and-comers through the motorsport ranks. So they'll be probably online watching some of the potential races that may in fact become pilots in their entries in a year or two's time. Yeah,
definitely. The gap is starting to split now between Gilchrist and McCutcheon, 1 and 2. There's a decent 2.5 second gap back to Sparrow in third, with Pratt another 4 seconds back. So he's kind of out of the running for a 1, 2, 3. But as you said earlier, Andrew, he's in that area where he's got to stay safe. He's made it through at this stage to the main final. Hayden Baccaris is in 5. And unfortunately, we still haven't had it confirmed if 6 and 7 immediately go through, or whether they get added to the consolation final, which is coming up next. We're going to cross through to say 3 laps completed very soon for the leaders. And then we'll have 2 more in this sprint. So it's still Gilchrist, McCutcheon, Sparrow and Pratt. Here we go again. Now that's a return serve, and he's been shunted right off. He'll go on the wall, and he's gone. So Hayden Baccaris will be out. There is no way he will get through now. Sent into the wall. I don't know if they know each other, but on social media in about half an hour's time, they will know each other.
There'll be some trolling going on, you think. But no, never mind. Look, these guys are on they're on a good performance bond. I mean, they are treating this pretty seriously. It's good to see, so I'm sure there won't be any of that please explains happening, and otherwise we'll march them up to the virtual steward's room and we'll have a chat with them.
Yeah, it won't be NASCAR Bristol half-mile oval punch-up fight at the end of the race. Gilchrist, McCutcheon, they're the ones who lead. I'm still surprised that the purple car has not blasted away with this, maybe because it doesn't have enough purple.
You think?
Yeah.
He should have gone all in.
Yeah, needed more purple. If you're going to go purple, go all in. He would have gone, I reckon he'd be lapping at 203s if he had a full purple machine. Sparrowson now in third with Callum Pratt in 4. Joel Hanks is in 5. And Blake Dowdall in 6. James Smith now up into 7. And they're all out on their lonesomes as they come across the Brock skyline. Down through the S's, into the Dipper. Here we go. Nicely done. Keep it calm. Keep it off the wall. That heavy braking, courageous braking into Forest. Making sure you don't lock up. Put your foot into it and don't hit the barrier on the way out. Now, was that a car just spinning out at the top? It was. It was one of the 2F Fun boys under brakes at the Brock skyline, I think. No, there's 1, 2, 3 that someone did. Someone went sideways. Yeah, if it was one of these, it was a very lucky recovery. Here we go. Oh, I think that's what it might have been. One of those sort of I'm coming around you thing. But these guys race every day against each other. We're currently on board with 45 Benjamin Adams trying to chase down 62-year-old Paul Smith. Look at him go up front there.
Yeah, he's certainly getting into it. Don't you love that graphic on the back? If you're thinking of passing me, just read the sign. Keep it clean. How many passes
Paul,
have never taken that into account?
That's right. He locked up the inside left there, as expected, in the chase. And Adams got through on him. So this is the final lap now. I think they've gone into pace mode, as in just every brake marker, every apex, every throttle, just running the numbers now. These two, Gilchrist and McCutcheon, well out in front of basically a 4-second gap between McCutcheon and Sparrow.
He's still showing quite a bit of pace though in this heat. So the race pace dropped away in the first two heats that we saw quite a bit. These guys, even though it doesn't look like it, their pace is probably a little bit quicker than those other two heats. So I'm sure the other competitors will be watching that, and they know now what they have to try and achieve to hold off these guys once they join the grid.
Well, is that due to the fact that they aren't racing each other as such? They're getting into a rhythm?
I think you probably hit the nail on the head there, to take a pun from those just have fun boys with the hammers and the spanners. Yeah, look, if you get into a battle and start trying to race for battle for track position, you compromise your racing lines, and that compromises the stopwatch. So good clean lines. These two, they know they're in a transfer spot, so no point racing each other. Let's just go and clear away from the field and get some clean track, and that's what they've done.
Yep, doing the job that they're meant to do. Brock Gilchrist, Matt McCutcheon 1 and 2, Mitchell Sparrow in 3. Callum Pratt and Blake Dowdle are 4 and 5 still, but there are still plenty of turns for everyone to make a mistake around here at Bathurst. They are coming down. They've gone through the chase. They head into Murray's Corner. Now, if everything's gone correctly, we should be receiving a checkered flag as they come across the start-finish. Right, there it is, and they go through. They give each other a little bit of, kissy kissies at the end of the race. Gilchrist, McCutcheon, Sparrow, and Pratt with Dowdle. So, the 5 we know. We don't know if 6 and 7 go through to the main final, or whether they immediately still get relegated and have to do the consolation race.
Well, all will be revealed very, very shortly as the final competitors come around to complete heat number 3, and we'll see who joins up on the grid for the consolation. The flag is well and truly flying there, so probably one of the more adventurous heats that we've seen. Certainly on the highlights reel with our Orbit flying Porsche.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was worth the admission alone tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty good. It would have been fun sitting in it for a little while too. That would have been quite entertaining. Hang on. 2 moons.
I wonder if Geordie's going to add that to the highlights reel for the Motorsport New Zealand AGM prize giving.
It'll be one of this is what not to do on Brock's Skyline. Everyone, let's use this as an example. That is car 34.
This is
James Watson finishing off his lap down in 13th position.
So he picks up the checkered flag and is one of our final competitors for this heat to come through.
So here are the official results. Gilchrist, McCutcheon, yep. A tick mark beside Sparrow, Pratt and Dowdle, yep. Smith, Colquhoun, Wallace, Adams, Smith, Hanks, Fear, Watson, Baccaris and Jordan. Now, we're going to get into a consolation race, which is 7 laps rather than the 5. We know that the top 12 are going through, but I cannot tell you if any of the positions 6 and 7 from the heats have ended up in here, because I can't remember. In fact, who was 6 and 7 in heat 3?
Callum Pratt was in
Come on, Andrew.
Result. I'm trying to find it. Pratt was 4th. Skeets was 5th. So we're just trying to find the 6th place finisher for you was James Smith in that last heat.
So James Smith is not in this. Oh, yes, he is.
Car 42.
Yes, he's in 3rd. So that means
so
that
it was
means
just
only the 5 went through.
Yes,
okay.
there you go.
So this is everyone now. The lights are red. We're about to lose them. The flag goes green. That is such a big grid. They are all the way around the corner at Murray's as they come down. Leading the way will be Taylor Oakes, Zach Blinko, James Smith.
Oh, we've had one go around. That's Ben
There's the
Stewart.
smash.
Is it?
Oh, there's all sorts
I
of
don't know.
chaos
That's a
going
red
into
car.
turn one. It is hectic down there. There's a lot of drivers who will not make it through.
So the red Porsche was the same as Ben Stewart's, I don't think, because Ben made the transfer. So
Yes.
we'll try and pick
Now,
that up.
what we
Might have
don't
been
know,
Gilchrist.
Andrew, what we don't know is it still just the top 12, or is it extended to get the grid up to 32? Because at the moment, if it's only the top 12, it'll be 27 cars.
Yeah, well, we'll wait for the server to sort that out. You're an expert at maths, well and truly. You can get stuck
good
into
one.
it, but
Yeah.
but my whiteboard here, it's full with other stuff, and I haven't got time to work that out.
Taylor Oakes under pressure from Zach Blinko. James Smith is there watching on a little bit further back. He'll wait for the chaos. Brad Klink, Elliot Colquhoun, Benjamin Adams and Hayden Lyons with Neil Gardner in 8, Mark Mallard in 9, and Jensen Bate in 10. Now, a lot of those drivers further down in the field would have come through from the crash. Edward Fear, Hayden Baccaris crashed. Thomas Harrison crashed. Oh, yes, I can tell you who we might have lost. Carl Gaines was out. Thomas Harrison was out.
Yeah, well,
Hayden Baccaris
bring
was
that to you
out.
in a
Edward
minute,
Fear.
folks.
Simon Evans was one of them. Again.
Wow, he's been caught up in all sorts of carnage here as we go back and find some of them regrouping.
Oh, yes, and there's 58 in big trouble now. So 58 is Joel Hanks.
Joel Hanks. Yep,
Caleb
so-
Christie was out. Hunter Robb was out. Meanwhile, up front, Zach Blinko has got past Taylor Oakes. Now, Taylor is a very experienced endurance racer on the sim. He's done a lot of 24-hour Le Mans, 24-hour Spa, the 12-hour stuff. He just loves the endurance racing, and he likes being at the pointy end of the field. He does not like to be passed. And he'll be doing everything possible to get by Zach Blinko here, because, again, these guys are not, say, the top 12, are not fighting just to get through to this main, but for grid position. This is a qualifying race.
It is a qualifying race, yep. So they want to make sure they get into the final show for tonight. And, there's some pretty aggressive blocking going on up Mountain Straight.
Yeah, that's Mark Mallard.
And he's down the inside at the end.
Elliot Osborne in 10th position. This is the fight for 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the cutoff point, theoretically the cutoff point to get through to the main. Now, who have we lost? 5, 7, 6. I think he was further down the field. That was Brad Klink. So yes, he was. He was up around 7 or 8. So he's gone. A few other people have got caught up in the melee. Here come the later drivers who get held up as well. But look at Zach Blinko. He said, all right, see you later, everyone. Come
Yeah,
on.
the benefits of clean track and not having to go off defensive off the racing line. So he's able to just get away from Oates there and get a good comfortable buffer. So a little bit longer duration race this one, so tyre conservation may become a factor. 7 laps this time round. They're going to have plenty of petrol to get through.
Yep.
So that's not going to be a problem. Not a pit stop in any of the formats tonight.
I think they'd have to be doing a lot of sideways sliding to wear the tyres out in 7, wouldn't they? Or would you notice the effect in the real world? Because these are modelled directly off the real world.
Yeah, they are. Bathurst is not traditionally known as being a high abrasive circuit, and even in the sim world, it's not, as we see. Boy, these guys are getting pretty close. The number 9 there of Bate, he's certainly having a look under lines, and it's all on here into the final turn at Murray's.
Yeah, Neil Gardner
Osborne's
there.
having a look.
And 24 deciding he won. And somebody's gone off. He's hit the ripple strip into the wall 2 or 3 times. Is he going to keep the rear end of the Porsche under control? Don't go across the track, son. You're going to cause chaos everywhere. How did he miss everybody?
He's missed everybody, but he's managed to hit nearly everything down the front straight. That was a crash that kept going and going.
Yeah, he hit the wall 20 times and missed 10 cars. So that's another one putting themselves out of contention and moving everybody else up a number. But look at this group. And I'm talking, this has now become a race for 8, 9, 10, and 11th. Before, they were fighting for 10, 11, 12, 13. They've moved up 2 or 3 spots.
Yeah,
they've got to be careful here because it's not a cut-off position now. This is a holding, to me, is a holding pattern.
Yeah, but I think if anything's to take out of the first 3 heat races is that these guys are all fighting for each and every position. So nobody's really going that conservative. They all want to try and move up the field and take the bragging rights for the consolation as well. So I don't think conservation is in their repertoire.
Yeah, what is it with you helmet wearers? You're all the same.
I got a headset on, mate. It's not me.
You could sit there in a car and go, okay, mate, you have that spot. I'm through to the final, but you have that. I'm not going to rub and race and hit the wall in a battle for a minor position because I'm already through to the final. No. The helmet's on and they say, no, you're not having this spot. If you want it, you take it.
Yeah, we're not handing out participation certificates at this one, I can tell you that much. So anyhow, we've got a battle going down Conrod Straight here. He's down the inside at the chase and gets the move done. Pulls out onto the race line and 24 there. That is Gardner just slipping in behind Osborne. Not really fighting for the switchback, although saying that he's going to do it in the final turn. You see a little bit further back there. Our producers bringing the action to you. The MTF Finance, another well-known real-world sponsor here in the Sim World tonight, on board with Taylor Bryant. He's moving his way up into the top 10.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job too. Backs off under brakes, realises there's no point to try and duck down the inside there. Plenty of aero chances. Now this is 12 and 9. So it's Mark Mallard and Jensen Bate in positions 7 and 8. That is what the battle is for. And that MTF Finance one that Andrew just mentioned, Taylor Bryan in position 9, is just watching on quietly. And okay, you two, you can muck around all you want. I've caught up to you now, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, look, it's a 3-way battle here. Bryant just trying to, just pick his moment there. So Jensen Bate in number 9. Mallard, Bryant looking at the back of Mark's car here at the moment. Back to the 75 of Bryant.
Well, you can just sit there and apply pressure, can't you? You don't even have to try to pass. You just continually force that front driver to look in the mirrors and get them off their own game.
Oh, you certainly do, and it works in the real world. It works here in the sim. We've seen a few earlier on making mistakes, and he nearly did it there through the dipper. Ran wide on the approach.
Locked up the brakes.
He's feeling it, and he's just sweating on an opportunity to get by.
So Mark Mallard's got 2 jobs to do here. He's got to try and get in front of Bate in front of him in number 9, while he's trying to fight off Taylor Bryant, the 75, in behind. So he's the meat in the middle of a very, very scary sandwich right now. He's going to be on the inside.
Well, they're both freight trained through.
He's got him. They both went through. I think Bate backed off.
He has to have. He has to have decided, look, I don't want to get into this much battle for the minors. If I stay where I am, I'm going to transfer into the final show.
Yeah.
And that's what all of this lead up is all about. This is effectively still a qualifying dress rehearsal to some extent, because they're not guaranteed a spot in the final, and they'll want to be up in there with their other mates, because it's all to play out for in the feature, which will be coming to you after the conclusion of this one. Yeah, so climbing Mountain Straight one more time. Taylor is in the 2nd position. He's somewhat drifted back. There's quite a gap here between the front 2.
He certainly has pulled away. The gap is 4 seconds. It's quite dramatic. In fact, no, it's bigger than that. It looks like it's a 9-second gap. Interval, no, that can't be right. Surely it must be about 5 seconds according to my iometer. Yeah, regardless of it, Zach Blinko is just ripping away with this. And the green machine goes across through McPhillamy, over the skyline, down into the Brock. Chucks it down a gear. Doesn't really brake until late. Uses the gearbox to do the job. Gets through the S's. Heads towards the dipper. Nicely done. He'll feed it into Forrest's elbow in a very routine fashion. right on the edge of the barrier. Perfect drive line. Comes out again. He's circulating in the 6s. No need to do 5s and 4s. Taylor Oakes is in the 8s. So is James Smith and Benjamin Adams. They're all in the 8s as well. So it's kind of become a dial by numbers here. It's just like steady as you go. That's James Smith. Benjamin Adams, sorry, in 4th position. Elliot Osborne in behind in 5. So these drivers are all through to the main final. That's not a problem. Gardner in 6 with Taylor Bryant in 7, and the gaps are starting to split between all of these drivers. There's a couple of seconds between them all. Mark Mallard in 8, Jacob Smith in 9. Jamie Willits is down in 10, so he's through at this stage. And then it's a monster gap back to 11 and 12, so not much of a fight, although that fight for position 12 between Kai and Davey and Dylan Jordan is actually switching around a little bit. So there is potential in position 12 for things to change. Now, interestingly, Andrew, I look at the timing board, and even though it showed that Simon Evans had a incident, it's now showing him return to the track and in 12th position.
Yeah, so a few may have decided to exit the server because of the damage incurred in that opening lap, but Evans at this point, he looks like he may have done enough to get into that transfer spot as you're alluding to, Suri. So this time here, climbing Mountain Straight in the 12th position. So he'll want to try and not give way to Davey there. He's having a good long look on the inside because he's right on the bubble potentially there of transferring through to the final.
Yes, so he'll be wanting the spot off Simon Evans.
He will be, yes.
Desperately.
It's all to play for here. This certainly looks like it could be our transfer position there, and Jordan is just a little bit further back in the 21 in a very iconic Rothmans liveried Porsche.
Which is the one that spun out. The now famous Porsche spun out on the Brock Skyline and caused the issues in the heat race.
Yes, it'll stay on the highlights reel for a few seasons, that one.
For forever and ever, amen, that one. So it goes over the infamous Brock Skyline. So that race just in front of Dylan Jordan is Simon Evans and Kyan Davey for 12 and 13. We're on board with Dylan Jordan now. Strangely enough, though, normally when two drivers are fighting like this so close together, they lose tenths on every single turn. And the driver in behind, which is, he's only 1 second back, he's usually on their tailpipe by now. So he's driving a little bit conservatively, might have scared himself in that heat race, and let these two have their own internal battle and then maybe pick off whatever dregs are left if they do have an incident together. But Simon Evans in the black with, is that a shark? It's just, yeah, shark jaws on there. Not sure what it is, Andrew.
Yeah, it certainly needs
it's aggressive.
Needs a bit of McLean's brush your teeth in there, and we've got a big dive happening as Kyan Davies has a look down the inside. So crossing the stripe this time round, picking up the white flag. So one more to go.
And look what's happened. Dylan Jordan is right there because Evans and Davey have been scrapping. So here is Dylan Jordan, and now it's a three-way for the final position. At this stage, we don't know if it's been expanded out to the 17th or whether it is still fixed at 12. There is your race leader, no problem at all. Almost gets airborne coming across Brock. Zach Blinko comes through. There is Taylor Oakes in second place. They really do give it plenty coming over that little part of the racetrack, which is what Andrew Anderson said earlier in the evening is the spooky part of the racetrack for him. Zach Blinko comes down Conrod Straight for the final time in the consolation final. Further back, it's Kyan Davies, Simon Evans and Dylan Jordan. So Simon Evans is in 13, but up front still, we can see Jacob Smith back in 7th.
Yeah, it looks like there could have been a little bit of a battle going on here. Just looks like we picked up the back end of it, but picking up the pieces here in the consolation final, Sooty, it's going to be Zach Blinko.
Yep. and a very good job too. I mean, how easy was that at the end of the day? It was kind of like, whatever, where's my competition? Look at it. Not even making Murray's corner yet, the opposition, Taylor Oakes. And he will be genuinely scratching his head going, okay, what do I have to do if that's the race pace in the main? There goes James Smith across for third place. That is Brad Clenk in 11th. Now, that's one of the 2Have Fun boys has had some major... Oh, yeah, that car is in big trouble. That's 45, Benjamin Adams. Currently sitting in 11th.
Just
scraping through. And here comes Simon Evans. Simon Evans did get to 12. He got to 12, so hang on.
We're missing...
Have we lost? Now, who was that fight with? That was Simon Evans, Dylan Jordan, and Kai and Davey, who ended up in 19th.
So Davies has had an incident there coming down the mountain on the final lap by the looks of it.
Yep, and has just let Simon Evans through. So now we are watching 84. These are the final ones coming through. They are not going to make the main final, but they had fun out there anyway. They did their job. That is Hunter Robb coming through, car 211.
So I think Hunter was the red Porsche that I picked up on the back of shot. Got confused with the same livery as Ben Stewart in the earlier heat race.
Right.
So unfortunately, he had an incident on the opening corner, and that's put him right at the back, and he hasn't been able to regroup. No safety cars coming to bunch the field up, and he'll have to chalk this one down to experience. So got a little bit of Angus Fogg Racing support on the back of that
as
Porsche.
Well. Yeah, yep. AFR on the window.
The connection there is his dad, Brent Robb, has been a crew member for Foggy back in the day. Even Brent was a crew member for me back in my Centra days. So good to see his young boy, who's, certainly wouldn't want to do that in the real world with your dad's Porsche. But meanwhile, so that's the end of the consolation race.
And now we find out, we'll find out in the main grid, won't we, if it's 27 or 32. And that will determine if it was the top 12 or top 15 that go through. Let me tell you who they are anyway. Blinko, Oakes, Smith and Osborne, Gardner, Bryant and Smith with Mallard, Willits and Clink making up your 10. Adams and Simon Evans made it through to 11 and 12. Now, we are yet to see if 13, Jordan, Bate, Watson get through. I don't think Smith is going to... Oh, Smith might even too, and so too might Wallace. They might take 15 or 17.
Forrest, Giltrap and Hanks are definitely going to be outside the bubble.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate to see Marco Giltrap so far down. He does a lot of work on these sims. So it just shows you the intensity of the battles earlier on.
Yeah,
He's been on the back end of that. So we'll certainly see if there's many behind Simon Evans coming to the line for the feature. So
60 seconds away from our main race, and we'll see the grid, and that will tell us if race control is allocated the full 32 or whether it's still cut it off to 27. And will those 5 still be making it through? They'll know by now. They'll still be sitting there ready to go. They'll be squeezing their fingers on the wheel, tapping the pedals with their feet, getting themselves set mentally in the game to go around Bathurst. 15 laps will be our main race, people. 15 laps around the 6.2 kilometre circuit.
Yeah, so there will be a little bit of a little bit more conservation, I think, in this race to look after the tyres. As we watch one of the competitors going around in the Corvettes, that is the number 10, just certainly taking a lot of curb through the chase. So I think over the 15 laps, they'll be needing to look after their tyres just a little bit more. But I think the battles are still going to be pretty fierce, Suri.
Yeah, 2-minute warm-up is what they were doing, and a few of them were practicing their race starts, which is a very clever idea. So we've had it confirmed from race control that 32 are in the final, which means that it was a bigger grid from the consolation race, which will please quite a few of those drivers. They've made it through. Now, here is the order. Gone off from the heat and qualifyings. Ayrton Williams, Callum Hedge, Brock Gilchrist and Liam Skeet, Zane Hills, Matt McCutcheon, Graham Smythe, Ben Stewart, Mitchell Sparrow and Cameron Dance make up your 10, with Grant and Pratt in the 6th row, a fair way back already. As soon as you get into those numbers, you look way ahead, don't you, Andrew? And you think, oh, there's a long way to go to get up there. You can see them in the back of your vision there. They are around the corner of Murray's. It stretches. They don't even see the flag being waved in reality. Luckily, they've got a set of lights on their screen, which are now up, and they are going to go red. We will have 5 red lights. They will go off. The green flag is waving. We are underway for our main feature race here with the Motorsport New Zealand Porsches at Bathurst. And Simon Evans, according to this, has already had an incident straight off the grid. Now, I think that just might have been a touch somewhere. I don't see him out. I think he's still there in the black machine. Yes, he is or isn't.
Well, there's a few just blinking in the background there with the server trying to bring all of the action, all of the cars, and load the graphics for you. But out front,
I think he's there. Yeah, I think Evans is there.
One of the biggest losers at the start again was Hedge. He was on the outside and just got absolutely swallowed down the inside into 2-1. So he's back in 4th position there now. He's battling it out with Hills.
I think what you were saying earlier is going to come to the fore, though, isn't it? For 15 laps, he's got time now. He can analyse his opposition a bit more. He's basically got 3 heat races in one to try and decide what to do, so he's got plenty of time. He doesn't have a lot of people in front of him that can cause incidents and get in the way. He's only got to focus on front 3. So I think he'll be doing that. Elliot Osborne and Dylan Grant have had an incident together. They are out and into the pits already. Jensen Bate has already gone off track. Benjamin Adams went off as well. There's been a lot of hectic driving further down in the field. Jacob Smith is out. So a little bit of chaos on the opening of 15 laps here. Williams, Gilchrist, Skeets and Hedge. Zane Hills in 5. Ben Stewart, McCutcheon. Smythe has lost the spot to Ben Stewart. So did Match McCutcheon. So Stewart went from 8th. Actually went from 8th to 6th position. Nathan Anderson has moved up 4 spots into 9. Mitchell Sparrow dropping down into 10. Zach Blinko has moved up 5 spots. Make that 6. He is now in 10th position. So he is making a big run at this. And the other one who's also doing well is Taylor Bryant. Mark
Anderson
Mallard
has just been turned around and he's been collected on the exit of the chase.
So
heard on the race chat, there's a bit of chatter going on there. So he just made the pass and it looks like there's been a bit of contact when maybe a switchback was trying to be done. But end of lap number 1, Williams, Gilchrist, Skeets, Callum Hedge, who I kind of would have put my money on for this one. He's back in the 4th position. He's got a lot of work to do. And he's got Hills and Stewart not too far behind.
Well, young Nathan Anderson won't be happy. I assume you'll shut the door and not talk to him for 24 hours for safety. And just bet out there. Here comes a replay of it. Let's see what happened. Goes around. Oh, he's got himself into his own spin.
Yeah, he's gone in a bit deep there on the dirty line on the outside. Cold tyres. So youthful enthusiasm has not paid off.
Go out back and give himself an uppercut. For that, he's lost a lot of positions down now. He was up into, I think he moved up into the top 10, and now he's down in 22nd. This, however, is your leader, Ayrton Williams, leading Brock Gilchrist. Not a big gap at all. Neither is the gap back to Skeets in 3rd or Hedge in 4th, and Hills in 5. In fact, there's a whole big bunch from 1 to 6. They are all together before there is a gap back to McCutcheon in 7. So this wild bunch up front, as we're on board with Callum Hedge, this will be an interesting drive actually to see the technique that a Porsche, real life Porsche driver decides to take here.
Yeah, I think he's just biding his time. I'm not seeing a lot of over-aggressive manoeuvres going on in this top 5 or 6 competitors. They're just getting about their work, and we say that out front, there's been a mistake.
Yep, Williams has gone down.
Got to watch the rejoin there. So he's shuffled himself from the front to the back. Hills is down the inside. Ben Stewart's coming through as well.
He'll be dirty on himself for that.
Yeah, he will be. So just as we were trying to call it, and here we go, Hedge looking down the inside, deep under brakes. He's been renowned for braking later than anyone else.
Yep. He's decided that's it.
gets the move done pretty cleanly in the end. Closes off on the switchback and now is able to get to the inside line on the run-up mountain straight.
Well, he's kind of in the middle, isn't he? He's like, well, which side are you going, pal? Because I'll go the other one. So he goes down the outside, which is the proper driving line, into turn 3. Well, it's technically turn 2, isn't it?
Turn 2,
Griffiths.
yep.
Yeah, Griffiths.
Turn
Turn 2.
Yep. Up now into the cutting. So this bunch is really starting to tighten up, and Ben Stewart on the back there. We know he had a lot of pace before. He's another one that'll be dirty about his performance because he showed a lot more potential and then made a mistake and shuffled himself down. And how often do we see it, Sooty, in the real world and in the sim world? Track position is everything.
Yeah, very much so. We're now looking at positions 7, 8 and 9. That fight, of course, and that is Matt McCutcheon in 7th position in the Purple People Eater. Cameron Dance right in behind. Now, Cameron Dance was incredibly fast in qualifying and did well in his heat, but it just hasn't all come together for him as the race went on. But he's doing everything he can to get around Matt McCutcheon, but once he does, he's then got 3 seconds to try and make up to catch that front pack, which is going to take a lot of work, and it's really not the kind of thing you do on your own. You almost want to be with another driver, but train it rather than race it, like work together to get up there.
Yeah, a bit of freight training down on these long straights as we look on board here with Urton. He's just having a little sneaky on the inside of the 97 of Hills, but not really getting close enough in there. And up ahead, Ben Stewart has been able to get around it. He's in the 4th position there in the red Porsche. We're following and tracking him now, so he's making his moves forward, and he'll be wanting to try and bridge the gap to Skeets up ahead in the green Porsche as we come round turn number 1. Look up ahead, Sooty. Traffic.
Yeah.
We're going to have to play with back markers. So, boy, these guys at the front, they're only 3 laps into it, and now they're already catching up to the tail of the field. But some of those competitors have probably been through the pits and got some fast repairs and got back out after the early skirmishes. But how's that going to play out as we come up over the mountain this time round?
Yeah, exactly. They're coming up through Reed Park. In the cutting, here they come. Up through Reed now. And they'll head down into the hollow before they go to heading into McPhillamy. But let's take a look at a replay here. Now, that is a rather hard hit.
Yeah, he's just tagged the wall there, coming up over the crest at Reed Park, where you say, and has absolutely well and truly buried it through the concrete wall on the outside.
Yeah.
I remember a Channel 9 Camaro doing a similar thing and ending up on its roof back in the day in the real world. But meanwhile, out front, Gilchrist, Hedge, Skeets and Stewart. Oh, Skeets is feeling the pressure from Stewart. That's going to affect his exit down Conrod. Ben's going to be able to get right in behind.
Oh, there'll be a pass here, guaranteed, under the slipstream and the
He's going to have to go the outside, but he's going to have momentum, I think, to get pulled up alongside. He's still there.
Well, even if he stays there, even if you stay there, you can get the inside run.
There's a great camera angle there. Ben's now on the inside. He's got to get it pulled up on the dirty line. Oh, there's a little bit
Small
of contact
touch,
there.
Push Skeets into the dirt.
Oh, Zane Hills, how did he miss
Zane
him?
Tried to get around. Poor old Zane got caught up there. Probably got a little bit excited and thought, I'll take that position.
I thought he'd actually got through, so he must have got just evidence of a bit of net code, which is what happens when they get very close together and the computer actually bumps them off each other. So that's changed the order up front. Gilchrist now leading from Hedge. Stewart, who's made up some great ground through this race. Williams in the 4th position. Skeets. Hills, the recovering Red Bull car that we saw just before. So, yeah, it's starting to heat up here out front.
It is, and I think Hedge has sized it up now. I think he spent the last lap or two just working out where Gilchrist drives, looking at his braking positions, checking out which angle he takes on all the turns. He does it very efficiently, so Callum is probably going, well, hang on, there's not many options here for me, but he was faster in the last lap to get right on the tailpipe. Maybe he's watching what's happening up front and waiting his time there, but I'd rather get in front before you catch those tail markers, wouldn't you?
I think that's why he's got the pace. He's lifted the pace a bit. He wants to get to the front and get through those back markers, because the last thing he wants to do is let Gilchrist be gifted some track position, because if he can get through and Hedge can't, then it's going to open up that gap for first and second.
Right.
So exiting the Forest Elbow this time round, they're definitely going to be getting in amongst those back markers who are having their own battle at the moment. Hedge now well and truly in the draft, but well, that was good work there from the back
Louis.
marker. That's sharp.
Yep, did a really good job.
over.
Oh, look at Hedge now. Here we go. He's going to take the opportunity, taking the right-hander into the chase. And here's the tail markers. They're going to interfere on Hedge's line. He's going to have to pull in. He's got no option.
Yeah, you can see the difference there.
It's going to happen this lap, isn't it?
The manoeuvre the lap before with those other competitors. You can see the experience there of Hedge pulling back and making sure he didn't make contact. But,
well, Matt McCutcheon's Porsche is looking a little bit icky now.
Icky?
Icky. He's had some contact somewhere. But there is Gilchrist still out, but here comes Hedge now. Now, did they get past those other two? I think they might have down the front straight. Yes, they did.
Yeah, those competitors did the right thing. They pulled over and got out of the way. So hats off to them. Now pulling out is Hedge. He's going the long way around the outside, but that's not going to pay. He's been out there before.
Yeah, and
it's
he lost
definitely the hard line to get around.
So more traffic going to make a play here. This is almost like a 1,000 where the back markers get involved with the race.
I wouldn't have thought that they'd pick that they were going to be in traffic this early on in the race. So
kind of adds to it, though, eh? It's kind of cool.
It's certainly not. We're not lacking for entertainment tonight, and this back marker, I'm sure, is going to play out one way or the other.
Well, I think Gilchrist just rubbed the wall there.
Yeah, I think he might have.
He might have skimmed it. I don't think it was hard enough to damage the car, but he would have known that he was probably a little hot coming through McPhillamy. So he goes down through the S's and the dipper, and they know the traffic's coming, but they'll meet them at the straight, which is fine. It's a good place to do it.
He certainly went really defensive. He went to the very shallow entry onto the Forest Elbow, which does compromise your drive down the straight, and you can see that, although he's going to get the benefit here of a lap marker toe. He needs to make sure he doesn't collect them down the straight as our lap marker pulled over. So again, hats off to the 27 for getting out of the way of our race leaders. But this time into the chase, deep under brakes.
Yeah, we've seen people try to do that outside line before, and it doesn't work there. There's just no brakes.
So this is playing into Ben Stewart's hands while these guys are dicing and really starting to go defensive. Look how much ground he's been able to make up. He's right there now.
Well, he'll be waiting for some kind of contact or incident between these two. Now, that's not a bad position at all for the late breaker Hedge. He can do a switch here. Now's his opportunity. He got just slowed up a fraction because Gilchrist did not make the turn the way he wanted to do it. Instead of focusing on his own job, he was looking in the mirrors.
Ben, he's right there in the toe now, so he's getting dragged into this battle. So it's going to become a three-way battle for the lead. So if Hedge gets out here and he goes down the outside, I'm picking Ben's going to be the benefactor here up the inside.
Well, Hedge should know. He lost the spot last time he did that. He's going to happen again. He's just
one out, one back.
You know, he hasn't learnt. He hasn't learnt that outside line does not work for him.
So Ben Stewart, he's been the big mover here at the front end of the field. So we saw the pace he had earlier on in the heat races, and that's coming good. Oh, as Hedge, he just keeps it off the wall.
Boy, I thought he was coming through now too.
Yeah, these guys are really slowing up the pace at the front of the field.
Yeah, because further back there we go is Liam Skeets. So
well, really all the way back
in a fight, but he knows that he's got back markers to deal with.
Really all the way back to 7th, 8th and 9th. The whole front top 10 is really starting to close up, and we're only at half race distance, so we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, definitely. So Skeets is under pressure here, big pressure. It's almost like his car isn't doing what it should do, but I didn't see any damage to it. Probably just hasn't quite got his rhythm going here at the moment as Cameron Dance is trying to take him on. Zane Hills is right there in the 97 Red Bull, so he's having a good crack at this. And there we go. We can see Cameron Dance And now Callum Hedge, he gets past Stewart, so he's back into it again. Right, now he's got a job to do. He's got to chase down the race leader. Skeets nearly got past. He's under enormous pressure, not just from Cameron Dance, but also Zane Hills wants to get involved. Here come the three of them. They take the left-hander Murray's, and there's more cars getting up there. More of them are going to get into it. We are only 7 down here, people. Here comes Hills round the outside. Probably not the best place to do it. Skeets is under pressure. He is fully defensive.
Oh, we've got a car off on the side. That's the 22. I think that's our back marker just getting out of the way. It's got a little bit too hot for him.
Yep.
So he is elected to park it on the grass. So at the front, Gilchrist, Hedge, Stewart, throw a blanket over them. There's nothing in it for this battle. And
this is fantastic.
Hedgie's been able to get himself back into the second position, but every time he tries to make a move on Gilchrist, it doesn't work in his favour. So,
well, aside from that little skim of the wall coming through McPhillamy, I haven't seen Gilchrist make a mistake yet. He hasn't blinked. The pressure is not being applied. It's brilliant. He's not showing anything.
He's been pretty consistent, and as you say, looking at the graphics on that Corvette's Porsche, doesn't look like it's had too many contacts with the mountain.
No.
Ben
and in fact, in the last lap, he punched out a 206.
Well, there you go. That's a pretty respectable race pace. Ben Stewart's got a little bit of a mark on the the right rear quarter. And check this bunch out. Skeets, he's still in all sorts of battles, in a major battle here.
He locked up the brakes there going into, and that's he lost a little bit of time there because that allowed Cameron Dance to get right back on him again. And here we go. Just that one brake lockup coming through Forest. Here they go down Conrod straight into the chase. And I reckon Cameron Dance will get him here. Surely he does, yes. Well, heavy under the brakes. He'll cut in tight. Not too many marbles on that line. He was in the middle rather than on the outside. Job done. And Zane Hills might get a run too. But will he be in the right position here for the outside? Not really. Oh, they've touched. And they have touched. Liam Skeets has just punted.
They're all gone.
He's punted Cameron Dance off. Zane Hills was in behind and thought, hang on, I've got to get out of this. And that caused them to lock up. Liam Skeets has spun himself around. Well, it was, oh no.
Oh, he's been collected down the left
front.
He'll
pull out now. He'll say, no, that's me for the night. Liam Skeets is dropping down. Good night, nurse. And the other cars will be damaged.
Yeah, they will be. So, boy, that was looking like it was going to be a good battle pack. And unfortunately, one mistake and it cleans out a couple of our competitors in the back end. And we'll pick up a replay here. Actually, I wonder if Dance was
already sideways, do you think?
Yeah, it may have been, but there's certainly contact and they followed each other all the way to the wall.
Yeah, and I think Liam was just angry. He put the foot down to try and get back on it. Look at Zane Hills spinning it up like a drift car.
Yeah, I think Zane just did that out of sympathy to try and keep her from avoiding making that crash any bigger than it needed to be. But out front, this battle pack still hasn't worked itself out. Gilchrist at the moment is still out front, but I'm sensing that one of these competitors, either Hedge or Ben Stewart's going to leapfrog them all and take over the race lead. There's a sense that the red car's got a little something here to show.
There's a monster gap back to fourth position, which is Ayrton Williams. And then Mitchell Sparrow in 5. Zane Hills is listed as 6th and Cameron Dance is 7. That's because they had a decent gap up the front. But were they damaged and going to cause them a problem? There's Ayrton Williams, and he does look a little slower than anyone else, but it's because he's by himself. So there is Zane Hills. His car looks okay.
It's on at the front here.
Cameron Dance, he's been touched this time, and here comes Ben Stewart. He'll take that opportunity. Thank you very much, which means Callum Hedge has to do it all again. And we are 9 laps down now, so we're over halfway. We've got 6 to go. There's still plenty of time, but every time Callum Hedge just gets close enough, something goes wrong. He ducks down the inside of turn 1. He will squeeze Stewart onto the curb.
Well, that was respectful. He didn't squeeze him onto the grass. So again, showing the experience of Callum Hedge. He is definitely been clean, being aggressive but clean. So
Yeah,
Ben Stewart on the inside.
Definitely not fighting
Edgy's
dirty.
trying to hold on the outside again, and mate, that's the third time we've seen you lose ground. Should we text him or what?
Oh, yeah.
Send him a message on WhatsApp or something. Mate, what are you doing?
Going on the outside
Ben,
of
what have you
turn two,
done,
mate.
buddy? Oh, just giving you the
No.
big pump of tyres
No.
and put my bets on you, and you've gone and done it again into the cutting. So twice
You know what it
he's
is?
done that.
It's because he's in Ferrari red and a Porsche.
Oh, you reckon
It's jinx.
it's gender
Yeah. It's car
confused?
Gender. Yeah. He's brand biased. He's brand confused.
That's like a blue Holden or a red Ford, right?
Yes, that's what I'm getting
geez.
at.
Okay.
And you know what that's about.
Oh well, it's not green, and everyone says green cars are unlucky in motorsport, so we'll
Very
stay
true.
away from that. But out front, it is Gilchrist still, and we come back here and pick up on Dance. And how
fifth.
he's been able to survive in this battle pack through here, it's certainly a bit of the heat has been taken out of it now. And one of the other competitors I was keeping a bit of a sneaky look at on the timing tower was our old mate Simon Evans. He was making a bit of ground up through the field, but he seems to have fallen off the timing tower. So I sort of kind of missed out what happened there. So maybe we can send a post-it note through to race control. They might be able to find something that occurred off camera. And,
Well, way down in the field, like way down. See, that's 70. So that's Nathan Anderson. He's 12th after his self-inflicted spin that he did. Where was that? Was that out of the chase, wasn't it?
That's right. Yep.
That was his one. But way down in the field, you've got the likes of Neil Gardner in 16, Paul Smith, Graham Wallace. Those Neil Gardner was in the original. Oh, Paul Smith is out now. I think he's just taken himself out. Yes, he has, and it might have been because Simon Evans has crashed. So Simon Evans, we're going to theoretically see what happened here. Oh, I can see. Yeah, he's sitting there with.
So this is into
Benjamin
Forest
Adams.
Elbow.
So that's all of them in the pits, which is not where you want to be.
Decided enough was enough, and he exited the service. So he was obviously carrying a little bit of damage, and figured that it was going to be too tall an ask to keep moving up the field. But
Not his time to be on the hill.
No.
But what I was saying earlier was the likes of Paul Smith and Graham Wallace. They were some of the drivers who snuck through from the consolation final. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for all of them, but it has for Graham Wallace because he's in 17th position, still circulating with his mate Neil Gardner. Graham Smythe lost 11 spots and he's down in 18, but Graham Wallace has moved up 15 spots. He was basically at the back of the field, just scraping through into this main final, and now he's in 17. You've got the likes of James Watson, who has made up 15 positions. He was back there with Graham Wallace. Dylan Jordan has made 18 spots to go from 28 to 10. How about that for a move? But Brock Gilchrist, leading the race at the moment, is the one who made up 2 spots at the start of the race. Got ahead of Hedge, got ahead of everyone else. Ben Stewart is still in third. He made up 5 to get there. Adam Williams was up the front, dropped down to 4th. Cameron Dance has made up 5. He is in 5th. And Mitchell Sparrow has made up 3 into 6. Zane Hill is the one who has lost out there. He's lost 2 spots back in 7th. This is your leading pack, though. Gilchrist, Hedge, Stewart, 1, 2, and 3. But Gilchrist and Stewart are the ones who have made some really good moves to be where they are. They didn't start up front, which makes it even cooler, the fact that they are up there. Callum Hedge, though, started in second, still in second, and he's running out of time. He has got a gap of 3/4 of a second, which is actually quite a lot.
Well, you can see it here from the onboard.
Yep, it's a fair distance. He's not getting any aero help from this. And the problem is we are about to clock over 12 laps completed. So he's desperately running out of time. And Brock Gilchrist should be, if he gets through with this, should be very, very proud of his achievements. But let's not talk it up too soon for Gilchrist. We don't want to give him the commentator's curse. At the moment, he still has 4.5 laps of negotiation to do over the mountain. He is ahead of Callum Hedge. The gap is 0.7. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Further back, 2.6 seconds to Ben Stewart, who was alone, because it's then another 6.5 back to Ayrton Williams. But up front, we are now watching on to see if one of two things is going to happen. Is Callum Hedge going to do something absolutely amazing in the next 4 laps? Or is Gilchrist going to crack under the pressure? So far, he hasn't. So far, he has done 12 brilliant laps of Bathurst. Can he continue to do so? He takes Murray's Corner. Very nice, Andrew. He's doing a great job.
He is. I was just watching the gap there. It sort of seesawed a bit over the top of the mountain. It got out to nearly a second. It was 3/4 as they got out of the cutting, but now look at the time gap. It's down to half a second. So Hedge is definitely inside the gap to be benefiting from the tow as they drag themselves up Mountain Straight for another lap. So 3 to go this time round. Ben Stewart, unfortunately, is just maybe suffering with a little bit of damage behind. He's not able to bridge the gap. And Callum Hedge now is really starting to put the heat back on Gilchrist. Not really many opportunities.
On the last lap, that's all you need to be.
Yeah, you only have to be at the lead on the last lap. And if you're Chaz Mostert, you only need to take the lead exiting Forest Elbow on the last lap.
Very true. Now, just remember that a lot of these turns, you don't make up a lot of time. You're doing your thing. But there are a lot of turns here where you can make a 10th. And given that there are still, 2 laps after this remaining, and theoretically out of the 23 turns, at least 10 of them you can make up time, there is a huge potential here for Callum Hedge still to do it, or for Gilchrist to make some mistakes. That gap now has dropped to 0.3 of a second. So he's taken half a second out of the time, out of the lead, Callum Hedge. He is right there, ready to pounce.
Yeah,
Gilchrist, what's he going to do?
Watch the benefit of the draft here. He's getting sucked along. You can see that gap closing to next to nothing. He's right on his bumper now. Look for Gilchrist to stay left here on the exit of the kink. Oh, he's been given a serve.
No. Keep going, but will he get he'll get a inflicted penalty from the iRacing server. If you cut the track, it forces you into a slowdown. You can see him hitting the brakes. He's only got a few seconds, and he took up so much grass. It'll be a huge penalty. It was probably 3 or 4 seconds worth.
Yeah, we saw as they went down Conrad that Hedge was right on his bumper, and unfortunately I think he's given him a tap right on the brakes, and as you say, the iRacing has inflicted a further penalty because he took a shortcut, and really he was sent there, so it was not through his own choice, and Hedge has carried on. So boy, I would be thinking that Hedge should be pulling back.
We see it here. At this, Andrew. Analyze that for me.
Yeah, so he's come down and he's tried to pull out to go down the outside, but unfortunately at the same time Gilchrist has got on the brakes, so that's made contact as he's tried to pull out from behind him. Gilchrist has missed the jump. There's actually an iRacing invisible jump behind those tyre barriers. And unfortunately here Gilchrist, he's done a great job to keep it pretty straight. But unfortunately, because he's gone off track limits, iRacing has thrown him a time penalty. And there's a bit of a cloud over Callum Hedge being at the front. So I think that's really the onus was on him as the trailing driver to have left a little bit more racing room.
So he's basically what you're saying, he's just trying to get every bit of slingshot that he could, but he left it a little late. Yeah,
just miscalculated pulling out of the draft at the same time as Gilchrist got on the brakes. So, yeah, it was very 50-50, but I think it's going to be more 60 to the negative on Hedge's part.
Well, he's not redressing, so he's just shrugging his shoulders and going, okay, yep, all right. I'm not going to give you the spot back. Actually, it'd be pretty cool if he did, because then we could watch a fight over the last 2 laps.
He certainly had the pace to bridge the gap, and that's always one thing, but to be able to get the pass done, that's the second thing. So we know that he's fast, and he's showing that now he's got clean track out front. Hence, Gilchrist hasn't really been able to bridge that gap back again. It's gone out to 1.2 seconds. And but yeah, we'll come round, and this time we think after all that sort of holding station through the middle of the race, we now take the white flag for one more lap around Mount Panorama, and it's just a case of bringing it home from here.
So in the real racing world, Andrew Anderson, is that a racing incident or a black flag penalty?
Yeah, look, you've put me off the fence. I think if that was going to be adjudicated, I think a quick redress would have sorted that out. There was still 2 laps to go.
Yep.
Let them fight it out. But because it hasn't been done on track, yeah, I think that's one that would have to go to the steward's room to be debated about into the wee hours.
Oh, have you ever been to the steward's room, Andrew?
No, does it exist? It's a myth. It's this mythical place I hear about.
Yeah,
I hear all these other people have gone there.
Everybody else is bad. Callum Hedge now leads the race over Brock Gilchrist. Ben Stewart is, as you know, there he is in third. He's holding sway, just doing the numbers now, doing the job of, like so many of the others, just hit the throttle at the right time, hit the brakes at the right time, and make sure you're pointing the car in exactly the right direction. All by the numbers. Ayrton Williams is 10.5 seconds back in fourth. So that's not going to be a chase. And there's actually a big gap between every single driver. Dance, Sparrow, Hills, Blinko, Oaks, and Nathan Anderson has moved himself back up into 10th, which is not bad. But again, just as we watch them come down, Conrad straight for the final time. Just some of the names. Dylan Jordan making up 17 spots to be in 11. Brad Klenk making up 13 to be in 12. Willits making up 10 to be in 14. Graham Wallace making up 14 to be in 18. Paul Smith is still in it. He's made 11 spots. He'll finish in 20th. So it's pretty good indeed. But we come now to Murray's Corner. Comes around the left-hander for the final time and will receive the checkered flag. Callum Hedge will take the win in the Motorsport New Zealand lockdown special at Bathurst in the Porsches, with Brock Gilchrist coming across the line in second. Ben Stewart just gives them a little bit of, I should have done that to you earlier. And Ayrton Williams, Cameron Dance, Mitchell Sparrow, Zane Hills in the 97 tribute. I think I've worked out who he's decided to give a shout out to with his livery there. Zach Blinko, Nathan Anderson, Taylor Oaks in 9. Here comes Nathan now around Murray's. Let himself down, to be fair. And he'll try and drift the Porsche, which is never easy. They're not really made for that. 21 is Dylan Jordan, Mr. Spaceman. Now, if Dylan doesn't have a nickname before, he should now. All his mates should get together and try and decide what kind of name they'll give him after a spectacular off at the Brock Skyline. These are the last drivers starting to come through now. Brad Klenk in 12th. Elliot Osborne in 13. Jamie Willett in 14. Here we go. They're not giving up, are they?
No, but
that is Graham Smythe in number 40. And that's Callum Pratt giving him a little bit of love tapping.
So and one more Smythe to be had, and he's going to try and get it.
He is, but Smythe, I think, has got him, surely.
There's
Stick
one
to
more
the
turn.
Inside, Graham.
It's all on here for the last place.
Oh, he squeals under the brakes.
He's trying to get the
squirming.
He checked it up mid-corner to take the switchback away from him and crossing the line. Sorry, there is some more coming around. The 24.
Neil Gardner.
Coming through. And our 44. Hammers and
Graham
Spanners.
Wallace. I'm pretty sure that Graham Wallace started last. He, according to me, if he finished 18th and he's made up 14 positions, that should be 32. So from last to 18th, not bad at all. So there are your feature results confirmed, locked in for the Esport Challenge, the Mountain Shootout. Callum Hedge taking the win over Brock Gilchrist. Ben Stewart and Ayrton Williams with Cameron Dance in 5 and Mitchell Sparrow. Zane Hills, Zach Blinko, Taylor Oaks and Nathan Anderson making up your top 10. Jordan, Klenk, Osborne, Willett, Smythe. Look at the names. Pratt, Gardner, Wallace, Smith and Smith are your 20. Nicely done, everyone. Thank you, Andrew. That was a good bit of entertainment for a Sunday night.
Mate, there was a lot of entertainment. So hats off to everybody. Great for them to come on board the server, get a bit of exposure for the motorsport fraternity. And Suri, as always, it's always a pleasure to share the mic with you.
Ah, thank you very much. I'm all emotional now. That is it for the Sunday night lockdown special, Motorsport New Zealand. Thank you to James Anderson for producing in the background from the NZV8 Super Series. You'll see it all online. You can find it if you get into it. So a good job there from James Anderson. Andrew Anderson, thank you. That is us for this session of Motorsport Madness. Hopefully, we see you at a track real time very soon. For us, it's bye-bye for now.